Hello everyone. Today I thought I would talk about the brand Rituel de Fille, which is one of my favorite makeup companies. So this company makes a variety of products that I think may be especially well suited to people like me who have mature and sensitive skin. In addition, they recently came out with a new foundation that I will be reviewing, and they made some changes in their eyeshadow packaging, so that makes them much more easy to use than they were in the past. And so I'm kind of excited about that as well. And they are having a 20% off sale that will continue through Memorial Day 2023. And so if you're interested in this brand, then this could be a good time to learn more and look at some of the colors. So Rituel de Fille is a family business that is run by two sisters and then their sister-in-law. And all of these individuals have backgrounds in art. So they are very focused on the colors of the products, and that is particularly interesting because they have made it a point not to use any synthetic colors in their products at all. So they are just using mineral pigments and then also carmine, which is a color pigment that has an ancient history and that comes from beetles. So this is not a vegan company at all. They also are using lanolin and beeswax, but other than that, the products are have very clean ingredients for the most part, and they are using pretty much only natural ingredients in general, and my skin traditionally has done really well with all of these products. So I have read on their website that they are actually creating all of the formulas and then making the formulas in-house in California. And I think that's extremely unusual with regard to makeup companies. Usually the people that run makeup companies don't have anything to do with the creation of makeup at all, and instead they're just buying the formulators from totally separate chemists and formulation houses. So I think that that explains why these are such unusual products and why they really stand out for me in terms of how pretty they are and how well they have worked for me. So all of these products use very high quality oils in the products, things like jojoba oil that many other companies find to be too expensive to use in their products. So that is also a good thing. Most of the products do include lavender oil, so that is something that I don't mind at all and that my skin seems to think is fine. But if that is something that is bothersome to you, then you may not want to use this brand. So the other thing that I probably should mention is that if you look at the website, that really has a very strong kind of a witchy or maybe a goth type vibe, both in terms of how they are demonstrating the products as well as the names of the products, and in terms of some of the copy for the products as well. I don't think that that should keep people from buying the products. I think that many of the colors are totally wearable regardless of what kind of makeup look you are using, and I have found that all of these products to be very wearable for me. But what I did do is to follow their instructions in terms of sending a photograph of myself to them and giving them a sense that I wanted to have colors that I could wear for ordinary, everyday work type of makeup, and to ask them which colors they would recommend. And I think that their recommendations have been spot on. If there's one thing that these people really do seem to know, it's colors. So I would suggest that if you're interested in trying out some of the colors and you're not quite sure which ones to purchase, that you do the same thing and see what they say. In general, I do feel like the colors on the website do not make it necessarily easy to decide which colors you should actually purchase. They tend to be focused more on the artistic demonstration of the colors rather than to give you a really good sense of what they're going to look like in natural light. So one thing that I'm going to be doing in this video, I certainly don't have every color that they make, so I'm going to swatch all of the colors that I have, at least on my hand, and some of them on my face as well, so that you can get a better sense in this natural light what they might look like for you as well in the real world. So let's start out with their newest product, which is the Rituel de Fille 3-Drop Weightless Serum Foundation. And as a spoiler alert, this product actually does irritate my face a little bit. It doesn't irritate it so much that I'm not willing to go ahead and try it on for you to let you see what it looks like, since I already have it here. But I will put it on and show it to you, and then I'll go take it off and start over again. So this is a very light kind of watery serum foundation. So I will put on 3 drops here. I'll put an extra drop in my hand just in case. And it does have a little bit of a runny texture to it. Now, I did purchase the lab sample that they offered last year, and so you can see a comparison of the ingredients between the lab sample and this new product. The lab sample was primarily just very high quality oils in mineral pigments. So I think it's quite similar to the Kosas product, the tinted face oil, I think it's called, that they've been selling for quite a while. And I did wear that product on occasion also. I felt like this one was very similar, except that the oils in it were higher quality than the Kosas product. And I feel like this is a nice wintertime foundation for me. So it's pretty oily, and it offers some good hydration and moisturizing benefits to the skin. So I did like both this one and the Kosas for that reason. I'm not sure if Kosas is going to continue to sell that foundation or not. Right now it is on the last chance, but sometimes Kosas puts things on the last chance and then they introduce a new version. So I'm not sure it's going to be going away entirely. But this one was just offered very briefly by Rituel de Fille. They mostly to let people try it out and then give their opinions about it. So I did that, and I didn't have any problems with this foundation at all. And I did wear it a few times over the winter. I don't think it was a very good summer foundation for me because it tended to mix with the sweat on my face and then just kind of dissipate. For this one, it's basically the same ingredients, but then they've added a few things. And they've also subtracted the frankincense oil. So the frankincense oil didn't seem to bother me at all in terms of either the scent or the way it felt on my face. I didn't have any problems with that, but a lot of people don't necessarily like the smell of that, and essential oils also have the potential of being irritating for some people who are sensitized to them. So they did take that out of there. I kind of was guessing that they were using it to give the product some more longevity, because essential oils can be preservatives, but in any case, they're not using any essential oils in this at all. However, they did add some additional ingredients to it, and some of the ingredients that they added just seem like they're there to give it a little bit more texturizing of a feeling, or maybe to help it to set down on the face and not feel quite as greasy. So there's tapioca starch, and it looks like there's some clay derivatives in it. So I think that those may be designed to give the product less of a greasy finish and more of a kind of a set finish on the skin. And I do think that if I let this set down for a little while, it does tend to feel a little bit less like oil on my skin and more like it has a kind of a sticky type feeling. So that's what it looks like when I just put down approximately 3 drops on my skin. And I think it does give a fair amount of coverage. When it does dry down, it has a little bit more of a stickiness and less of an oily feeling, but it does take a few minutes. So I will kind of buff this into my skin. And I do think it's giving some coverage, so you can see that my skin does look a lot more kind of perfected than it did before I put the product on. I have a little bit more in my hands, so I will try putting a little bit under my eyes so you can see if you think it's giving me additional coverage there. I wouldn't say that it's exactly medium coverage, but I do think it's a little bit more than light coverage, or certainly more than the light coverage that a lot of these serum foundations tend to give. So I think it's pretty. I think it looks very pretty on my skin. The ingredient in it that I'm wondering about is one that's called Blakesea Trispora Mycelium Extract C3045 Olefin. And I am not sure why they are putting that in there, but that seems to be a derivative of mold, and that particular kind of mold is known for creating beta carotene, and so maybe they're putting it in there for that reason, and it very well may be that most people do fine with that. I have a history of mold illness, and so I think it's conceivable that even though this is probably not a toxic mold per se, that my skin might just be particularly sensitized to anything that has to do with mold derivatives. I don't think I do all that well with citric acid, for instance, which is also so often derived from Aspergillus mold. So I think that that's possibly why I'm having problems with this, but it does have a variety of other ingredients in it that the original lab sample version does not have. And so therefore, I'm not exactly sure that this is the problem, but that is my suspicion. So my experience with this product has been, and I've tried it a few different times, has been that when I first put it on my face, it doesn't feel too bad, but if I leave it on, that eventually my face will start to itch, and that if I leave it on, say, all day, which I try not to do anymore, that it starts to give my face kind of a reddishness, and it's clearly irritating my skin. So the reason that my skin is doing fairly well and it looks good in these videos is because I am very, very particular in terms of when something is irritating my skin at all, I don't leave it on my skin. I am determined to only use products that are non-irritating for my skin, because otherwise my skin just turns into a really big total mess. But in terms of this product, other than the irritation factor, I think that it's kind of nice, and I would be inclined to use it on occasion if it didn't have that issue. Let's put a little bit of powder down on it. So this is my Kosas powder, which is kind of my go-to and which seems to work for whatever I'm doing. So let's just put a little layer of that on top. Now the other thing that I did find about this product is that the original one was mostly just pigments and oils, and when it was time to get that off of my face, it came off super easily. This stuff is almost like a silicone foundation in terms of how well it adheres to the skin. So even if I just use something like an oil-based cleanser, that does not seem to be necessarily enough to get it off very easily. I really have had to resort to my newly beloved Lisa Eldridge cleanser, but I will say that this is a product that does have a very good gripping ability to the skin. So I'm not sure which of those ingredients is causing it to grip to the skin like that, but it certainly has a kind of a stay-in-place thing, which could be a very good thing if your goal is to have it not sort of slide off during the summer months when your face is sweating. But it does have a very different feeling to it, and it's sort of a different kind of a purpose than the version that I tried last year. When I look in this viewfinder, I think it's kind of very, very pretty. So if you can tolerate this, and if you don't mind a foundation that's sticking quite tenaciously to your skin, or if that's what you're looking for, then this could be a good product. I don't feel like it's exacerbating my wrinkles too much, and I went ahead and put quite a bit around my eyes. So I think that for a lot of people, especially if they don't have the particular sensitivities that I do, it could be really good. And I think that probably Rituel de Fille is a pretty good company with regard to taking things back, so I would be surprised if they didn't take this back for people. So that's where I am with this foundation, and now I'm going to go and use the Lisa Eldridge cleanser to get it off my face, and then I will start again and I will talk about the concealer and just use a little bit of the Rituel de Fille Ethereal Veil. They make a cream concealer. I'll use that instead as a foundation base. So I feel like I managed to remove most of that product from my face. My face does feel a little bit irritating. I think that probably each time I put this foundation on my face, it's become a little bit more sensitized to it. So I probably won't be using that again. But I think that my face is not in terrible shape anyway, so we will continue. The next product, which I have used many times over the last year or two, is the Ethereal Veil Conceal and Cover, which used to be their only foundation product. So this comes in a little compact, And I have this shade Metis, which apparently has been changed to the name Daphnis, but it seems to be the same. I also have a couple of other shades, so I will go ahead and just swatch those on my face so you can take a look at them as a comparison in case you're looking for which shade might be best for you. The first shade that I have, which I think is described as a light yellow type shade, is Galatea. Put that like this. And then the next one is called Series. And then the Metis one is this one. So I have Metis on the top, and then I have Series in the middle, and then on the bottom I have Galatea. So the one that they recommended to me when I wrote to them and gave them a picture of myself was the Metis one, and I think it's been okay for me. So I will go ahead and use that. And it's a fairly warm day here, and you can see that this product is really on the soft side, which is the texture that it tends to be a lot of the time, and I don't mind that too much. I will just put that on as a light layer, and then kind of, because my skin is on a little bit on the red side, and then I will build it up in the areas where I might need a little bit more. And I don't have anything on my face at all right now except a little bit of eyebrow pencil. So we'll see how it works under my eyes. I also talked about this in the long video that I did on cream concealers. I think that this one is a lot like the RMS concealer, but this one I think uses better oils. So this one is using jojoba oil rather than coconut oil. It does have lanolin in it, so if you're reactive to lanolin, then this might not be a good choice. And it does also smell like frankincense. And again, I don't have a problem apparently with frankincense oil, and I seem to be fine with this. But perhaps some people object to it, either in terms of the smell or in terms of what it does to their skin. So I will try brushing that in a little bit too. And I do think this is a sticky enough product that it needs a little powder, so we'll try that. And again, I'll use that same Kosas powder because I never seem to have any problems with that at all. So I would say when I compared all of the concealers that I have in my collection, that this one was the absolute favorite. But just using it on a regular basis, I think it's been fine. And it is all natural ingredients, and I haven't felt that my skin has been irritated by it. So that's looking better. So now let's talk about their eyeshadows. So this is the old container for Rituel de Fille's eyeshadows. And you can see that the opening for this is very small, to the point that I can barely get my little finger in here, and I have very small hands. And so people really needed to use a brush for this, and a lot of people didn't have a brush that they felt was appropriate, and so that was kind of frustrating for many people. So now Rituel de Fille has done two things. First of all, they have introduced a brush that works really well with these, but then also for good measure, they have introduced the product in entirely new containers, with a very, very large opening. So no matter how large your fingers are, you can put your finger in here and take out the product and then just apply it like that. So I think that's really great. I did have some brushes that I thought worked okay with the Rituel de Fille, but I do feel like the brush that they introduced is particularly good when it comes to using the old bottles, and they work fine with the new bottles too. So this is the little brush, and it's only $24, and it has the Rituel de Fille like little stars on it. So I think that that's kind of attractive. But I really like the fact that it has a very, very small brush, and that the brush is very squat. So let's just start out by using this shade that I have used many times, which is called Half Light. And I do really like this product, so I will use this brush to just pick up a little bit of it and to put it on my eyes. This is available now in the new containers, so it will be much easier that way. But let's see if I can, how this works for me. So it's such a small head, and the bristles are so short and dense, that it's really easy to put it in the exact place that you would like for it to go. And then I will just use a little bit of a blender brush to kind of blend it out a little bit. And this is more than I usually use because I'm going in a hurry working on the camera. But I think that it's a very pretty shade. This is kind of a taupe shade, and I think it is really nice with my complexion. So this is from the Ash and Ember Eye Soot line. So it has a little tiny bit of a shimmer in it, but it mostly, in my opinion, is just gorgeous colors with just a tiny bit of a shimmer. So when Rituel de Fille came out with these new containers and the brush, they also introduced 3 new shades of eyeshadow, and since they had a set available, I purchased all 3 of those new shades and an additional one. So the new shades are called Flora, Fauna, and I think Mineralia. And so the one on the top is kind of a purple color. I think that one's the Flora one. The next one is Mineralia, and then the one after that I think is kind of a champagne color. Then at the bottom there, there's one that's called Cultist, which is kind of a grayish taupe color. And then on my wrist is the Half Light, which is what I just put on my one eye. When I opened up this Mineralia container, I had it tilted, and some of the eyeshadow went on the floor and it just happened again. So you really can't tilt this on the side. It's very loose in the jar. So I would be very careful with all of these eyeshadows. I don't know if this Mineralia one is really different than the others, or if it's just that all of these have the potential of doing this one, and this one was just the first to go. I'm not sure why, but in any case, I think these are all really, really pretty colors. Rituel de Fille really has the ability to take all of these natural pigments and just make them into really gorgeous products to put on the face. So I do really like the purple color, but it turns out that this is now out of stock because many other people liked it also. So I think I will put a little bit of this Cultist version on my other eye, and we can see if we like it better or worse. And I think that went on okay without the need for a brush at all. And I will blend that in a little bit. But I think now maybe what I'll do is take a little bit of this champagne color. I'll just brush a little bit of this on top just to see if we can give a little bit more dimension. But really, these are gorgeous just as a one and done. I don't think you need to add anything to it. And I think that if I am going to use that really dark shade, I think it's really too dark to use even just as like a corner shade, and then it's really probably more prudent to just use it more as an eyeliner, so I will give that a try. And then Rituel de Fille also sells an eyeliner which is black and comes in a globe-shaped container that is actually one of their most popular products. And I have actually never used this product, but I just have this little sample of it. The one time I actually did try it, it worked better than I thought. So I'm going to try this on my other eye, and we'll see how that works out. So I was always afraid to use eyeliner that was more of a cream that I had to use a brush with, but I feel like this is not too difficult to use, and I certainly think that it might be much less irritating for people like me that have very sensitive eyes than a pencil eyeliner. Most of the pencil eyeliners include a variety of ingredients that are I find to be kind of problematic, including cottonseed oil. So it's always a little bit challenging to try to do my makeup in the viewfinder for this camera or in the tiny little mirrors in the compacts, but I think that this is an interesting eyeliner, this black one, and I would be interested in experimenting with it a little bit more. Now the unfortunate thing for me is that the only colors they make in this eyeliner is this really black color, which is probably a little too dark for my taste. And then they also make one that's kind of an iron reddish color, which I have realized is, I think, supposed to be more giving you kind of a goth look. So I'm not really interested in that one at all, I don't think. Maybe I'll change my mind. And so I'm kind of happy that I now have this Mineralia product, which is quite brown, quite dark brown, and does seem to serve not too bad as an eyeliner, really. So now let's talk about cheek products. So this is a line of products that Rituel de Fille has been selling for quite a while, primarily for use on the cheeks, but they also say that they can be used on any part of the face, including on the lips or even on the eyes. So I have 4 colors in this. The first one is Rapture, which is a bright pink that they describe as being associated with the color that your cheeks get after you've been outside in the winter. So I use this quite a bit over this past winter to get sort of the ultimate cold girl look. The second one is Lovesick, which is kind of a dusty rose color. The third one, it looks quite brown in the pan, but this is called Eros. And then this bright orange color, which is called Delirium. And I think that all of these actually have worked surprisingly well on me, especially considering what bright colors they are or what unusual colors they are. So here are the 4 colors swatched on my hand so you can see what they look like when they're pretty pigmented. That pink one at the top, that went on very, very bright when I used it for the cold girl look, but it blended in pretty easily. So Eros is a kind of an unusual shade that a lot of people that don't even necessarily like Rituel de Fille that much enjoy using. So let's put this on first. And they do make quite a few other shades too, including some that are kind of on the gray side, which could be used for contour if you're interested in that. So this formula is kind of on the hard side, and so it takes a little bit of warming up, especially if the weather is cold, to get to the point where you can blend it in. But the positive thing about using a product like this is that once you do get it on your face, it tends to stay a little bit better. Whereas some other products, like the ones from Westman Atelier, those tend to disappear really quickly because they're really too soft, and my skin, at least, it tends to eat them up really fast. This actually makes a pretty good eyeshadow too. I'm not going to put that on because I have so much other eyeshadow on. So last year, Rituel de Fille came out with a line of very brightly colored balms, and so I have 3 of those colors, so I will show those to you. The first one is a red color, which is called Bloodflower. The next one I have here is called Snapdragon, which is kind of a orangish color, and then the last one is Hummingbird, which is kind of a pinkish watermelon type of a color. So I swatched all 3 of those on my hand so you can see kind of what they look like. And then I will try one of these on both my lips and on my cheeks. So this is the Hummingbird one. Let's do a little bit on my lips first. So after having spent quite a lot of time trying to come up with good alternatives to the Jones Road Miracle Balm, both in large part because the Miracle Balms have a lot of rose geranium oil in it, and I seem to be fairly consistently allergic to rose geranium oil. A lot of people also object to the fact that those balms have such a strong smell to them in general, and also because they come in large containers. So there's a lot of reasons why you might want to buy something instead of the Jones Road, and they are quite expensive also. And in terms of the brightly colored Jones Road Miracle Balms, that they're now offering. I think that these are a quite good alternative and probably much better as far as I'm concerned. So again, in the hot weather, this softens up really easily, but it goes on the skin very nicely, and because it's this balm texture, it lasts for quite a while on the skin. And it also gives my skin kind of a moisturized, youthful type of a look that I think is the whole goal of the Miracle Balms as well. But I think that this works a lot better also because you need less of it. They're so highly pigmented that you only need to put on as much as you want. And so it's not quite as sticky feeling as the Miracle Balms because you're not using quite as much of it. So if I had longer hair, my hair would not be sticking to my face the way that people often say that their hair will stick to the Miracle Balm. Then the other product that Rituel de Fille makes that I have used a lot on my cheeks are their Rare Light Cream Luminizers. So these are highlighters, and I have 3 shades in these. So the first one I have is Phosphene, so it's kind of a peach color. And then the next one that I have is called Ghost Light. So it's kind of white opal type of a color with a pinkish purple shift in it. And then I also have one in this little sample container called Solar Flare. And so I swatched all 3 of those in order on my hand. So it tends to be kind of difficult to see highlighters on camera. And that's why I have such a hard time picking out what colors are which on the Rituel de Fille site, particularly for the luminizers. But maybe you can tell if I kind of move my hand around a little bit here. I think that these are really unusual luminizers because they tend to have really interesting colors in terms of the shift, but they are so pretty that I really don't think that you need to be real worried about them looking weird on your face. So this is the Phosphene one. And I feel that at once this gives a really interesting look to my face, but it also does not seem to be something that I feel is inappropriate for whatever occasion I might go to or whatever age I might be. So all of these cheek products, they all have a really strong lavender smell to them, which I don't object to that at all. I think that that's very pleasant, but if you don't like lavender, this might not be a good brand for you because most of their products do smell like lavender. I also think that I am very fond of the oils that they are using in the products, but again, they all have beeswax and lanolin in them, so they're not vegan, and if you don't do well with lanolin, then again, this wouldn't be a good brand. But I have found all of their traditional products that they've made until about the past year or so to be really terrific for me. It's only since they have been trying to compete more on performance by adding additional ingredients to the products that I have started to have any issues with them. And so now I have a couple more highlighters that I think are a little bit brighter that I managed to pick up just as an experiment. So let me just show you these and you can see what you think of them. So I have 2 colors here. This one is called the Enchantress Metamorphic Highlighter. It looks really white, almost like it's clear in the pan, but if I move it around, it seems to have a turquoise shift underneath it. So I put this on the top on my hand, and so maybe you can see that turquoise. And then the bottom one is called the Alchemist Highlight Intensifier. So they call it a highlight for your highlight, and I'm not quite sure what that means, but it definitely has a lot more shimmer to it than their regular highlights do. So I think that I could try putting a little bit of this on my cheek just to see what it looks like. But see, this is much more sparkly. So I think I would probably just wear this kind of highlight if I were going to a special party. And this blue one, oh, that does look kind of blue on my eyes. It's kind of gorgeous, I think. See, I might even wear this. Something like this on my eyes, I might even wear it out during the daytime if I were just going out for a fun look. I'll balance that out on the other side too. So for eyeshadows, in addition to the Ash and Ember eyeshadows that I showed you before, they make a whole other line of eyeshadows, which are called the Gelee eyeshadows. And these are very, very sparkly, and what I think of is probably being more for special occasions as well. So on the top here, we have a special edition color, which seems to be out of stock right now, but which might come back into stock, which is called Fire Opal. And that one's actually muted enough that I might think about wearing that on a day-to-day basis. And then the one on the bottom is one of their more popular shades, which is called Serpens. And it is a gold shade, so you can put it on really thick like this, or you can kind of mute it down a little bit. So I have actually worn this on my eyes. It's a little bit of a greenish tinge to it, but it's a fairly gold leaf type of a color, and I think that that's very, very pretty. I may have too much stuff on my eyes to take advantage of it right now, but let's give it a little try anyway. But I will warn you that this, like that other product that I showed you before, this is the kind of product that if you tip it on its side, it will fall out on the floor. So you got to be kind of careful about that. But let's put a little bit of this greenish gold shadow on my eye just to show you that I actually think this is wearable, certainly for a special event, but just in general. I think that that's a very, very pretty color. Some of the others look like they're bright greens and things that I might need a little more courage to wear, but this kind of gold color I think is just a little bit on the dressy side, glamorous type of a side. And again, I think I have way too much makeup on now, and it's particularly hard to put it on in this mirror, but I think that these colors are really gorgeous, and that if you actually sit down in it with a real mirror, that they're fairly easy to use. And then a product that they have introduced as a lab sample that they are going to be introducing again next year, but that's not on the market right now, is called Creature of Light Soft Glow Enhancer. So this is a liquid highlighter, and I have this in a gold shade, which I guess is called Lustrous Creature. So you can see what that looks like on my arm. I think you could probably blend that with a foundation, or you could use it underneath your makeup, or maybe on top of your makeup as well. So, but it does have a lot of gold in it. So now let's talk a little bit about lipsticks. Rituel de Fille makes two different lines of lipsticks. One is called Enchanted Lip Sheers, and then the other one is called Forbidden Lipsticks. But from what I can tell, the formulas for these products are extremely similar. They're using the same ingredients and they feel the same to me, but the colors tend to be somewhat different. So the Enchanted Lip Sheers tend to be more user-friendly and more like traditional lipsticks, and the Forbidden lipsticks tend to be a little bit more on the maybe the goth side, I guess we would say. And again, like all the products from Rituel de Fille, these are all using natural colors, and so they all feel really, really good to me. They are all flavored with lavender, and for me, I don't mind the taste of lavender, and I don't think that it's irritating for my lips at all, but it is the case that it's always a little bit of a jolt when I realize that these lipsticks are tasting like lavender, because nothing else that I have has that kind of a smell or a taste to it. But I don't object to it, and they're very nice little lipsticks. I think if anything, they perform a little bit maybe like the Victoria Beckham lipsticks. So they're fairly matte, but they're fairly easygoing to wear, and they feel pretty good on my lips. So this one is the color White Thorn. And this is the color Bittersweet. And this is a Forbidden lipstick, and this is the color called Love and Madness. And this is another Forbidden lipstick, which may not be on the market anymore. It is called Cryptic. And this is another lipstick that I don't think is on the market anymore. That is a Forbidden lipstick, which is called Echo. And then I have a bunch of little samples that I'm not going to put those on my lips, but I will do some hand swatches. So on this hand, from top to bottom, I have the colors Devil's Claw, Nymph, Written in Blood, Love and Madness, and Bittersweet on my wrist. So thanks very much for watching all the way to the end of the video. And if you have ever tried any Rituel de Fille products, then I hope you will let me know what you think of those in the comments section. In addition, if you have yet to subscribe to the channel, then I hope you will go ahead and do that. And Coco and I love you very much. Goodbye.